We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
This wine is great,
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of our faves.
Yeah, we get it at Ralph's. You buy 6 bottles, it's 30% off, so it ends up being like $4.80 a bottle.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Once you put the 30, I think it's like $8, but if you get 30% off out
That's
the door, it's like
Trader
$5
Joe's
maybe.
$2 truck prices.
Bevmo has now the 5 cents thing where you buy one and the other one's 5 cents.
Shut up.
So I go there often.
Wait,
We know where we're going right after this.
I know, I never go to Bevmo. I just go to Trader Joe's.
Do y'all want a water to have just next to you on the floor in case
I
you're
have
thirsty?
my water.
Oh, we can share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
Good tasting water, guys.
Yeah,
I thought you got
and
that
nice,
here.
you guys too.
Oh, you brought that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was one of the ones we. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you know, I started at 8 a.m. with this bottle.
Right?
Everything is on. I'm just tangled, but other than that.
Thank you. You gonna be good?
But we'll start the intro while I'm figuring this out. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Freddie and Alyssa Show.
Woo!
Super excited today because we have our friends in the house and we've got some wine in the cup and we have so many things we want to chat with them about. But I'll let you introduce our guests. We should introduce ourselves first.
Yes.
I'm Freddie Smith.
I'm Alyssa Tabbett, and today, guys, we are just so excited for the power couple that we have in the house.
Stop.
For real. They wear so many different hats: actors, directors, writers, producers, celebrity chefs, world travelers. Guys, we have so much to talk about, but please help me welcome David and Katie Del Rio.
Hey.
Katie Del Rio.
You see, still people have not introduced us that way. So that's like the
Mr.
first
and
time.
Mrs. Del Rio.
Yeah.
How does that
Still
feel,
crazy.
Newlyweds?
It's interesting because I haven't changed over. I changed over my name on the marriage license and
Right.
everything, but I still have my same ID that I always had. So I still just say Katie Wallace on the phone and everything. But I just got my official credit card that says Catherine Del Rio, and I'm like, that's so official.
real.
Yeah.
It's real.
I saw you change your Instagram too.
I did. That was big for me, actually.
It was like a 2-hour conversation of different ideas and all that stuff. Is this too long? Periods between each word. Del, period, Rio, period, K. I'm like, oh, that's a little long and all that stuff. So it was a nice, elaborate, specific conversation.
I was nervous because that's changing your identity to all of social media, which was
Does Instagram only let you change it like once? Like, is this like your was it a project to change it, or is it as easy as like logging in and changing
Well,
it?
finding
so
the right
easy.
name,
Yeah.
finding the name
That's
that's not
available
used.
and
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, I tried for a while just typing in different names. Catherine Del Rio, Katie Del Rio, Catherine Del Rio, and they were all taken. And then he's like, why don't you try Del Rio Katie instead of Wallace Katie? Which I thought was stupid.
Oh.
But I plugged it in and it worked.
You're
And I was
like,
like, oh my gosh, it went through. It changed. And it was just like that. And then I got nervous and I changed it back.
Stop it.
Yeah. I went back and forth
it was
for like
big for you.
I know.
Oh, that's
Did
That
you
was
change
bigger-
Facebook?
Yes, but you get to keep, your last name in the middle,
True.
so that wasn't as crazy. This was just like, whoa, bye, Katie Wallace.
So you did it,
Yes,
and your new handle is on Instagram.
Del Rio Katie.
Yes, and what is yours?
The David _ Del Rio. Much longer, broader one. But yeah.
elaborate.
It was harder changing my Instagram name than actually signing the marriage license and committing to forever.
Yeah.
That's I actually forgot my Instagram password and I can't for the life of me figure it out, but I'm logged in on all my devices, but I was trying to change it and they said to contact support, but I was looking around at how to contact that and trying to change it and it's been a whole thing. So I'm like, well, I don't know it, but it's logged in on my phone so I can use Instagram, but I can't
That's crazy.
That is weird. I can't remember the last time I logged into Instagram or Twitter for that matter.
Right?
It's just crazy for because it's
just
on your phone
automatically-
and all that
yeah.
stuff. But to have a customer support, I'm like, man, doesn't Instagram only have one person working on it and controls everything? But that's crazy
Do you guys
though.
ever use Twitter? Are you
No,
a Twitter person?
Every day.
Really?
Every day. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Because I just to get really, really deep into it, like I use my social media very specifically, as opposed to kind of freely just say what I'm thinking. I have in my bio it says, "My name is David, and this is what I've learned." And I have this journal that is just a quote journal, of things that I've read through magazines and books and, articles and stuff, and I would just record them. And then, I use my Twitter as just to share what I've learned. It comes off as motivational speaking or motivational tweeting, but that's how I was raised, and if I wanted to have a conversation with the Twitterverse, that's the conversation I would want to have.
Gotcha.
Not as much about politics, a lot about movies and what we've learned and how we can grow. So I'm very specific with that, because that's how I just still have fun with or any social media.
Yeah.
That's how I still have fun for me.
Yeah, no, because I just today, after a long time, did a specific tweet just saying, "What's up, everyone?" So I was like, I really want to get back on Twitter and be conscious of like you said, that's where you do like a little quote or something you're feeling, and trying to do all the the different stuff. So I was interested in how you.
Well, you guys, what I like about your social media is that you guys have an identity, and it's set. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's a set identity, and I know with the content that I'm going to be receiving what you guys are all about. And there's a lot of people that are out there that just as much as I love and care about them in real life, they flood my feed. And I'm just like, do I really care about this egg casserole? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, that
What's
kind of
wrong with egg casserole?
but with that, I think establishing an identity on social media, since social media has turned into a business, I feel, I think there's just that. Unfortunately and fortunately, there's got to be some kind of other type of personality that you have to portray out there, to protect ourselves.
Yeah, what you're putting out, and I want to ask you. I want to do this because I want to get into your story first, so everyone who maybe hasn't met you before, they can get to know you. But I'm curious about going back to that with acting and booking and finding financing and distribution and like how that's all changed over the years. I'd love to get into that. Yeah. But before we hop in, I would just love to hear your story about each of you, what you do. I know Alyssa's one of her favorite moments is how you got engaged, like how that all went down. So would you like to just share your stories with our audience here so they can get to know you a little bit? Sure. And you can take as long as you want. Some people feel the need to like, get it done in 2 minutes. Like this is a platform that we just talk. So share the story. Feel free to just like let us know whatever you'd like to share and how you met and where it all started and all that good stuff.
Aww. Well, my backstory is I was born in Germany. My dad is in the military. He's in the army. So he's a retired colonel. So we bopped around everywhere. So LA is actually the 18th place I've lived. Wow. But I went to high school in Missouri, so that's where I say that I'm from, because that's where I feel the most roots to home. Because my dad actually retired in Missouri, so I could finish out my high school there, and so my younger brother and sister could have a place that they called home. And I loved Missouri. It was best high school experience, I think, I could ever imagine, because then after that I went to NYU for college. I went to Tisch School of the Arts as an acting major, and that was amazing, loved it. But something I realized was that a lot of my peers hated high school and were so ready to get out of there. And that's why I feel so lucky to have had just like down home, Midwestern high school experience where you're close with your teachers and everyone in the school knows each other, and you go to all the football games and stuff like that.
Ohio.
Right? Yeah. Okay, so you get it.
Yeah, everyone knows everyone. Like, yes, totally get that.
Exactly. And it's funny because drivers in Missouri, little tidbit, if you're at a four-way stop, they're like, no, you go. No, you go. Oh, why don't you go? Hi, is that you, Katie? Like, it's so opposite from LA.
Wow.
But then I went to NYU, and I did a lot of theater out there, and I absolutely fell in love with New York City. I fell in love with theater, much more so than growing up, because I always did theater all growing up. But then when you have the ability to see Broadway every other day, to me, it's like, I never went to the movies, which he'll disown me for that because he loves movies. But movies cost almost the same as a Broadway student rush ticket.
Yeah.
So, because movies there are pricey. It's New York. And for Broadway student rush, you can get it for $25. So I saw shows by myself.
Absolutely.
I would go to my school dining hall and pack myself my dining hall food, put it in my purse, go rush a show, eat my food in Times Square, go see it by myself, go home by myself. I would see a few shows a week. You don't want to see my Playbill collection.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite show?
Of all time, Spring Awakening.
Yes.
It changed my whole entire perception of theater. I didn't know, I thought if you had to be in a musical, then you were doing like jazz hands and you were kind of overacting.
Right.
And then when I saw this musical, it was deep and innovative and crying, and I loved it.
So were you sitting, I never asked you this, but were you sitting thinking that in the theater, and then then as soon as it started, did it like change, like, were you converted?
Sorry.
When were you converted throughout Spring Awakening? Like when you sat down Spring Awakening, were you just like, oh my god, this is going to be a jazz hand thing, and then it started and then you were in?
You want to know why I saw Spring Awakening? I was with my aunt touring NYU, and we were in Times Square. I was trying to see Little Mermaid. And Grease, and I ended up seeing Grease. See, I was seeing Little Mermaid and Grease, which are,
classic.
Jazz handy, and then someone came up to us and was like, you want to see Spring Awakening? And he showed us the brochures, and I thought the guy on there looked really hot. And it was Hunter Parrish from Weeds. And he was playing the lead in Spring Awakening, and I was like, ooh, he's hot. And then I opened the page. There were more hot guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's see this.
David's favorite story.
Glad I asked.
I know, right? Well, it's funny because that leads into how I met David.
Yes.
Should we lead into that, and then you can say your story?
Yeah.
So at NYU, I, as I said, saw tons and tons of Broadway. And so my second year there, my family came to visit me for spring break, and we all went to go see In the Heights, which was the big musical at the time. It was Lin-Manuel Miranda's first musical before Hamilton, and it had swept the Tonys. So this was a huge musical, which is why it's funny, because now the world is hearing about Lin-Manuel Miranda, but he was huge in the Broadway community already before. And so I took my entire family to see In the Heights, and we all did the rush ticket, the student rush. It was a lottery, and so you have to put in your names and wait outside. And we all magically won, which is, they only have the front row blocked out. So, and there's tons of people. So we all magically won. We all got to sit front row center, $25 each for the tickets. And David was one of the leads in it, and he was kind of the comedic relief. And I was sitting next to my mom, and she always brings up how I kept going, watch him, he's so good. And then during intermission, my family says I talked about him the whole time. And then, sorry, when the show was over, something I love about Broadway, which I think is the most magical thing, is after everyone has put on that show, you get to go to the stage door and actually meet them and talk to them and be like, was that hard when you had to hit that note? Or this must be so hard to do 8 times a week. Can you cry every time? Like, you get to ask them those cheesy, nerdy questions. And that's what I would do. So I lived for the stage door area where you get to get their autograph. And so we were all waiting for everyone to come out, and I was waiting with my little brother and sister and my parents. And then David came out, and I got all nervous. And my dad said I had to get a picture with him. And I remember I kept on saying, no, he's like my age, It's so embarrassing. But then finally I did, or I gave in. My dad kind of forced it. Thank goodness for my dad, because now we have a photo together from when I was just a fan 4 years before we actually really met. And the photo's hilarious too, because there's a barricade between like the fans and the talent, and I'm like way over it.
Our heads are like really connecting. You would have thought we were best friends.
Yeah, we're
with
literally
that
like
picture.
hugging. I'm over the barricade.
Yeah, it's
and
scary. It's
Do you
still.
remember it though?
No, I do not. And by the way, I tell her siblings something different, because her brother Brendan was like, so you remember us, right? I go, Brendan, of course, bro. Like, how could I forget meeting you, Yeah. And that was one of the best parts of that job, to be perfectly honest, was to walk home and, because you were in New York, right? So I lived in Battery Park, so it was always a 40-minute walk. But in New York, 40-minute walk is just a magical walk. You just don't notice.
Yeah.
I just every night I would reflect on the performance and all that stuff. And just every night you just meet new people all the time, and then you kind of see and it's funny because you saw the show 6 times. Mm-hmm. There are
in my defense, the show, their lottery rush was a half an hour after everyone else's. So if I lost the lottery rush, I would go to In the Heights and win that.
But there's still some of those audience members that you're like, wait a minute, I saw you here last night, and then the next day I'm like, are you here again? And then there's some fans you kind of build a rapport with, and you're like, hey David, hey Stacy, that kind of thing,
Wow.
But 4 years later we started dating, and it was close to my birthday, it was close to my birthday, and then good old friend Justine, she basically goes, oh my God, did you tell him about the picture?
Which I was trying to keep under wraps because it was kind of creepy, and we had just started dating. Yeah. So, of course, my mom knows we're dating. Because she has these pictures in our family photo albums from New York. So not only does he have a picture with me, he has a picture with my little sister short with braces. He has a picture with my little brother short with braces.
Well, at the time was shorter than me.
Yeah, now he's way taller. Yeah. But, so my mom sent it to me. I definitely hid it from David. But then when we fell in love, I wasn't embarrassed, and I was like, okay, his birthday's coming up. I'm going to frame it and just give it to him and not tell him. And then Justine kind of broke the news, but he still died because
every day I was looking forward to my birthday. I was like, I have to see this.
See it
no, he hadn't seen.
Oh, that's cool. That's
it was like another 3 months until I had to wait, and I was just like, I wasn't even excited that it was my birthday. I was dying to see the picture, and it was just as overwhelming as it was when I first heard about it. And we have 2 pictures, one where we were posing together, another one where I'm signing her playbill, but she's laughing and I'm talking. So obviously I said a joke to her, or obviously I was turning on my charm to this NYU hot student,
So then, fast forward 4 years, you both live in LA now.
Yes.
Yeah, so then my old home in Toluca Lake, I hosted a party for my friend Daryl. And it got to a point where I was cleaning up, everything, everyone was leaving, and that party was huge. That was a big party, like 250 people.
Where were you in Toluca Lake?
Talofa, which was a cul-de-sac right on Riverside and Foreman, I think so. Yeah.
So it was on the south of Riverside in the actual neighborhood with all those houses?
Yes.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
Cool.
We were just a block away from what all those houses were. So yeah, it was. I mean, it was wonderful. It was one of those houses that my awesome friend Graham Rogers would tell me once a week, hey, let's have a party tonight at noon. Okay. And we were the odd couple. I was Jack Lemmon, he was Walter Matthau. He's like, let's have a party tonight. And I was like, no, Graham, no. But then every time we had a party, I was like, thank God you suggested we had a party, because it was off the chain. So
and that's how we met.
So we met when I was cleaning up, and she was with a group, and it was just like the 2 a.m. group that wouldn't leave. I was like, I'll stop cleaning and I'll just talk to them, and then we started singing a Broadway tune together.
Oh, what's
Rent.
funny? Yeah, so I was
one.
Light
My Candle.
I was really into Rent that summer, and so I feel like that was the summer I kind of discovered it. I had always heard the songs, but that summer I got really into it, I remember. And so at this party, there's, of course, the token drunk girl singing musical theater. It's random. And I was like, sorry, guys, I just love Broadway. And then David started singing with me, loved it, didn't recognize him or know who he was at all.
Wow.
Because it's 4 years later and it's Broadway. It's not TV where you're seeing their face all the time.
I remember before my friend, I think it was Josh Thrower, who mentioned that I was in the Heights. But I remember about 20 minutes before that, first night I met her best friend Dio as well. And Dio came up to me and said...
Who was my bridesman.
Yeah. And Dio came up to me and goes, hey, listen, that girl like you're talking to, my best friend Katie, don't tell her you were on Broadway. And I was like, really? Why not? She goes, because like she'll die. And I was like, maybe I will. But then I didn't have to. My friend Jethro said it, and then her first thing she said in Katie fashion, what were you in? And I was like, in the Heights. And she's like thinking to herself, is that David Del Rio? Like, isn't that how you say?
Yeah.
Like she was like, wait a minute, is that David Del Rio? But she didn't say that. Instead, she goes, what role were you? I was like, Sonny, and she goes, sing a song. Like, I was just like, oh, this girl, this type of girl.
I know.
But then I looked at her eyes, and she had nice eyes. I was like, oh, I'm singing something.
Yeah.
You better believe I'm singing something.
And I remember he forgot the words, and I had to correct him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And I started, like, messing up on the words, and she's like, no, with 96,000, I finally fixed housing. And I was just like, yeah, that's the one. I
can't.
That's so random that you both met at a party. I mean, the communities out here in Los Angeles, though, I felt like there was a... What year was that?
That was 2013.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was like, right, yeah, I just feel like Hollywood is much smaller. Don't you feel like it's it's not 6 degrees of separation? It feels like it's like...
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows everybody.
I'm actually fascinated. That's one thing when I moved out here that I was so shocked by was... Because when I first started hanging out with the actors in LA... I was like, wow, my friends in Missouri would die to see this kid from a Disney show with this kid from a Showtime show hanging out, with this kid from a big movie coming out, with this girl from, everything. It's all interconnected, I think, because everyone just hangs out together, everyone auditions together, everyone has class together. It is one community, and it's like, once you're kind of in the young actor group, then you know everyone. Isn't that how you feel?
I mean, you keep seeing the same people, that's for sure.
And you build those relationships.
Yeah.
And like,
especially if you go out, that's how I met the most people. And I know now at least our group, we're older, we've all settled down so much. Yeah, but before, I feel like
it was all week long.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys a question. Were you guys clubbers as well?
Do you guys go to
the club?
Rats for sure.
For about a year. I don't know when it was, but it was like, it's kind of crazy to say it, but like 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Me too. It was only a short amount of time.
It was a short period of time,
Yes.
but it was like, and then we always wanted to keep like the relationship with the promoters so that you could text to make sure you get in.
Yes.
And like all that stuff,
Yeah.
but we did more of the house party circuit longer. But it was basically partied for like a year and a half. We did the house party circuit, we did the clubs, and then it just kind of like, you started going less and less and less and less. And now I don't think we've been to a club in 4 years.
Yeah.
That doesn't even sound like fun to me.
No.
Yeah, to be honest, it didn't sound fun to me then. It didn't sound good. I'm an old soul. I've been an old soul for like a long time. So like every time I go to a club, I get anxious and okay, yeah, you want a drink? Yeah, sure. Oh, another one? Yeah, great. Are you gonna come? No, great. Can't believe I spent $90 on her. That kind of like that was my experience. You know what I mean? And then your experience is like, I'm Katie Wallace. Here's my card, and then you would go right in.
Well, it wasn't. I just remember. Did you guys ever go to True?
Yeah.
Okay, I will never forget the period. Something weird is like clubs have an in, like I guess a length of time that they're in, that they're cool, and then they go away.
Change the name.
Yeah, which is
What is True
bizarre.
now?
I don't
Is it
even
still
know.
true?
No, definitely not.
Long time ago.
I know.
I don't even. We were in. We did an interview in West Hollywood, and we were driving through, and I'm like, we're never in Hollywood or West Hollywood anymore. And especially me being on the show and working Burbank, Pasadena to Burbank is like my little circuit on the 134.
Yeah.
I've never really go further than that anymore, and I haven't been auditioning or anything for the past handful of years. I've just gone all in with days and everything else we're doing, so I'm never really in Hollywood that much. But when I go back there, I'm just like, wow, like, I still know all the streets. I know how to get around. It's like, but it's actually a treat when you don't go as often. But that's just our personality. Some people love being on like Sunset and Vine or Hollywood and Vine, like that area. Like it's hot.
I like that. That area is beautiful, and every time I go there, I'm like, this is LA. Like to me, that's what I see.
That's what people
LA
come to see.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Yeah, people come to Pasadena. They're like, this is cool. But like, where's the stars? Where's Hollywood? Where's Beverly Hills? Like. And we're 30 minutes away, 40 minutes away, so we're
crazy,
like,
right? Even I still feel like a visitor when I drive down Coldwater Canyon all the way down to Beverly Hills. I'm just still floored by the beauty around it. I was like, man, it's not even anywhere close to the Village like that, you know. But that's the great thing about LA for me. You know what I mean? I feel it has its own version of boroughs. You know what I mean? Where it's just like you still kind of feel that you're in a separate community in everywhere you go, and I feel like that's just the lively thing about LA. The only thing is that it takes you 40 minutes to go each place, but if you don't mind the music you're listening to, and if you don't mind the podcast that you're listening to, it'll go by. No time.
And just knowing when to go, like. At this point, we're just like, all right, well, if we have to go over, like, let's go at this time or this time, so that you're not just like. There's times you sit and you're like, why?
That's the biggest thing, is knowing when to go. Yeah. Well, sometimes, because I feel like you don't really know when to go, right?
No.
Sometimes David will say to me on a Friday, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go down and pick up something for my friend in Santa Monica, and I'm like, David, it's 4:38, and he's like, I know, I'll be back. I'm like, it might take you 4 hours to get home.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe 2 if you're lucky. But he just...
That's like 3 Mark Maron episodes that I can squeeze in there,
David just drives at any time.
I gotta say this, too. I'm sorry for going all around here. But, I think it's really great what you guys are doing here. Because... I mean, the thing about podcasts, I'm going to quote Robert Downey Jr. here. He says it's not an interview as much as it is an interview. You know what I mean? Where it's like he doesn't have that 5 minutes with Letterman to talk about what he did in Disney. It's that time to sort of kind of connect and talk about emotion and we can have 90 subjects about so many things, and I think it's just a great thing that you guys are doing, Well, and to do it so professionally and so beautifully in this beautiful apartment too. So it's like I feel like I never want to leave. We might this might be like a 2-hour. This might be a 2-hour special.
That's what
part 1, part 2.
And we can talk, and as you can tell, I mean, like, especially all of us, we're all chatty people, and for me, it's the only platform where you can actually get out your points of view. Because even if you only had 5 minutes and you're going to talk about education or politics, you don't sometimes have enough time to even go there, because you need to make sure that your whole thought is out there to really bring people. But with this, you can hear people's stories, you can talk, you can, and being on the show, like even for us on days, like there's so many times we'll go down the carpet, we'll do these things, but the interviewers only have like 30 seconds. So they ask like, what's your favorite scene, or what's it like being nominated, or this and that. Like they're doing the best they can in that window. And there's a lot of the Days cast and a lot of actors and just a lot of friends and a lot of people that we want to have on to just have a 30 to an hour conversation about like digging deeper, like really getting to know people, and we get to know our like friends even better. Like there's questions that we're asking on a podcast that maybe wouldn't have come up at dinner, and so I don't know. I'm just very blessed that you two came over to chat with us and all this stuff, because I am just hearing about the short film, which I want to get into, and everything that you're doing. I've just been dying to collaborate on something, and I think it's all going to line up very soon. We're going to find something.
For sure.
So,
and to kind of add on to that, working with both of you has been such an honor. Like, I'm so honored you guys are here. You guys are wonderful, wonderful people, and I've had so much fun. I know it's just the beginning, so thank you. For real.
Thanks for having us.
Working with you on Solstice was an honor.
Man,
I could not
handle.
MVP.
Seriously. I mean,
Seriously.
but we were in the trenches together, and I think I was just like, thank God for you that you were there, or else I would have probably would have gotten violent. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, it was we went through a lot together, and I can't wait to do it again. To be honest,
a little backstory on Solstice.
Just so they know, this is a film.
Are they working on a ranch? No, it's a short film. It's a short film.
This is a film we all produced together, and there were 4 producers, and me and the other producer, Savannah, were actors in it. So when it was time to be on set, there were really only 2 producers running the show. But we chose to do a very difficult film for our first film, and we had a huge crew. We had tons of...
Overwhelming.
Yeah, we had tons
Was it
of
necessary?
PA. Yes.
It was. It turned out to be necessary, you know. And the other thing is that we and especially like when they were acting, Alyssa and I had to really put on our focus glasses in terms of, okay, how can we use this manpower to the best of our ability? How can we make sure that no one's just sitting down? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, a lot of them were volunteers. A lot of the PAs, the production assistants that would come in and half were hungry, half were entitled, and you know what I mean, and half were like, "Can I be the director?" No, you cannot, and I'll remember your name. And but it was just one of those moments that it was necessary because we were shooting in this huge acreage of land. That we were given to shoot on, which was perfect for the film because it was set in a spiritual retreat, and so in the 90s. So we had you know,
it was just an undertaking. Yeah, it was an
an
undertaking as far as it was a period
set
piece.
design.
It was shot outside, which meant it was boiling hot in the day and freezing cold at night because it's LA. And so it's like, how do we keep our cast warm? How do we keep them cool? How do we feed them? How do we get everyone to set up this whole area so it looks like a whole working camp? It was, I think, just the script was a huge undertaking to begin with because now after producing that and working on that, it's like, oh man, next film is going to take place inside.
Yeah.
It's
2 people.
What were kind of like, what was your biggest takeaways or takeaway, like when you're able to look back and go, okay, like here's what I learned, here's what I will continue to do, here's things I'm going to change and make different. Like what
I gotta say, I haven't gotten to the point at the last day or, you know, the 2 days after the shoot where I took a 48-hour sleep. That I woke up and I told Katie, I don't think I want to produce anymore. It got to the point like it was that and Katie would just go, and this was brilliant on her part. She would just listen to me sort of like complain and all that stuff, and she would say, okay, well, I'm going to do it. Either you come with me or not. Either you learn from, you know, what went wrong and then take it to your next film, or you can just sit and wallow and just keep wallowing about what went wrong. And so that really changed my perception. But a big lesson I learned was your preparation is key. And over preparation is not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And be annoying. Yeah. You know what I mean? For what you want. Because if, you know, and it's be annoying but be respectful because you have the title of producer. So therefore you are the top dog there. But we weren't producers. We were unit production managers. We were line producers. We were, you know, much, yeah. but still we had sort of the hat on of sort of leading a big pack of artists who wanted to just get a shot for 2 minutes, but it took 5 hours to set up. Yeah. What that took from all of us was to be respectful and don't be afraid to ask for what you want, and have a good understanding of when, okay, now I can accept the no. Now what's the next idea? You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that we could have stopped from happening if we had just said no later or if we had just said no earlier. You just got to have you just got to have that understanding and confidence of going, I know that this is probably not the best idea, but it's the right idea right now. And if we're confident in it, then we have 40 people confident in it as well. They can complain, but at least they have people who know what they want, whether you're right or whether you're wrong. And to be very accepted that everything is going to land on you. A light falls way, 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 way ahead of you. That's your fault as a producer. You got to take on that responsibility. I
learned also who you hire is a huge deal.
Hiring in general is a huge deal.
Well, I went into this not necessarily knowing what every single job entailed. Right. You know, I had seen David direct a lot of things, and I knew that, and I had been on sets, but I didn't realize how imperative having like an experienced first AD, or how imperative it is to hire, you know, certain people that know what they're doing. Sure. And I think we went into it a lot of like, oh, well, that person would be good, and oh, that person seems like they would be good. Yeah. And I think that maybe I didn't really ask any questions. I went in it like, not as if I was hiring the person, but more like we were already a partnership versus, okay, what can you bring to the table?
So funny, we were just talking about
job interviews is a huge lesson.
What were you guys talking about?
No, it's just so funny to me, like even like taking agency meetings, or like I remember I used to sit down and they would just say, do you have any questions for me? And I'm like, no. And like now I'm like, yes. Okay. So like you learn to ask questions because you actually know what you want.
Exactly.
And if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. Like we're just now starting to like we're gonna be hiring a lot of people to help out, and we're taking like things to the next level. Amazing. And it's like I'm really excited that we've learned, and we've gotten very lucky that we've had a lot of great people that work with us. But now I just want to be very specific. This is what I want. Yeah. Can you do this? I don't know. Then it's cool.
Right.
We're gonna work together. Next.
Right.
Yep.
And it's so important.
Though,
but it took a lot of time over the years to understand that you don't just need someone for the job. You need someone who shares your vision, and they don't have to care about it as much as you. If it's your baby, they have to just care about it more. Like we want to start this whole thing where we want someone to go above and beyond. That doesn't mean put in a ton of extra hours or anything, but don't just do the job to get it done. Show us that you want just a little, go above and beyond. Yeah. With like an accountant, with an agent, with a manager, with PR, with anyone I work with. I just want to be like wowed.
Yes.
If I put in more work than is required.
Yeah.
And I expect that with the people that I'm paying my hard-earned money
and
to.
you continue, and you will continue to do that, even as the boss, right? It's just, you know, it's asking people to help the enterprise along the way, and to serve the enterprise more than anything, you know? Right now, we're still in development of putting a production company together, but that will never happen if we don't spend that 4 or 5 a.m. hour of doing our work to make that happen. And not that we are not that we are expecting people to do the same, but if you do, and you get to see that you're, you know, serving the enterprise and not yourself, we as the owners do more favors for you than the other way around. Sure. Okay, then come with me to this meeting. You know what I mean? Or what do you think? And then that's when things start to happen. When I was in college, I did an internship in a casting agency, and this casting agency would do films nothing lower than about 15 million. They would do 15 million and up. So my first day, I started the last day of The Good Shepherd with the Robert De Niro movie. Then I started working on 27 Dresses, P.S. I Love You, Green Zone. I started working on all these movies, and if I knew that was going to really be my education of how to audition, I would have saved so much in student loans. You know, like I would have just been out of my college so quick and then go full time on it, because I remember the casting director was Amanda Mackey, and she said for an HBO show, come in and audition for this. I think it's time for you to audition, but you're not going to get it. So, but still come in. And I was fired up. I was ready to go, knowing that I was going to go to an audition that I wasn't going to book. But she was giving me an opportunity to audition for HBO, and just to see what that feeling was like, and that training has sort of carried onto it. But that's only because I started coming into the office wearing a tie and a suit, and she goes, where are you going? I go, no, I'm gonna wear like this for this office because I kind of respect the office a little bit more, and I'm doing this, I'm doing more work, and I'm doing more work along with everything else, and I'm writing scripts, and I'm showing a casting director it. Who would you cast in this? Like, so I can continue writing for that person and make a character. And she would give me her time, and I don't think she would give me her time if, you know, I didn't sort of take that 3 a.m., 4 a.m. hour working for her and not for myself.
Wow, what a story! I didn't know that.
I just think people I think people are content because they just want to be successful, and it's not about being successful, because what is successful, right? Because I could die happy tomorrow, right? Because I've done Broadway, I've done television shows, I've done stage on television, like I've done that. And it's not about being successful. What I've always strived to be was to be of value to the people who come up to me and want my expertise of my field. You know what I mean? And if I am brought in for my expertise of my field and I feel like I'm bringing value, then that's the sort of drug and the high that I kind of chase after more than anything. You know what I mean?
Well, so being on Broadway, doing television, all of that, what's your favorite?
Oh my gosh. In terms of medium, I love the stage. I'll always love the stage because you're getting your even when I'm on, let's say it like this, even if I'm on set, I'm performing for the crew. I feel like the crew are my audience and I'm performing for them. And that kind of takes me away from being in my head with the camera. Yeah. But I'm like, the sound guy's right here. I'm like, all right, I'm doing this for you, or I'm doing this for you and all that stuff. Yeah. And that's from, just from being and feeling the energy that we're going into this journey together. I'm figuring out my circumstances the moment that you are. And I have no music behind me, and I have no special effects, and I'm not in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Like I don't have these things. What I do have is a truth that I get to, express, and you get to witness, and just to be in like a small sort of theater or a big theater and sort of bring that energy out all the way to the back of the audience, to the back of the row. There's just something so, and especially when you hit it right, you know what I mean? Just that there's no other greater high, and you get to see when you're doing wrong, which is a very humbling experience. Where it's like last night I killed it, tonight. Katie saw a show that I did in Pittsburgh, and I messed up lines. I was torn. I was torn. But that's the thing.
The audience doesn't know, though, right?
I know.
Well, I don't know. It was a pretty bad mess up, but I'm just saying, like, it's not one of those things that they get to rewind. It's just one of those things where it's like, all right, that's the life I lived on stage. Tomorrow I get to live a new life, and that's why I also like it too, because it's very constrained on a film set where you have between takes 3 and 4 to live a new life. On stage, you get to live 3 hours of a life all over again, straight away. And
I think that's
same with you, right? Yeah, don't you feel that way?
Well, my first thing that I booked for film, I remember it was so bizarre because I kept having to re-say a line over and over again. And then to the side of me, there's people holding up these lights. Below me, there's people holding these lights. There's a whole bunch of people here. There's people with makeup right here. There's someone on my dress to adjust my bra over here. There were all these people, and it just felt so unnatural. And the thing is, though, that's something that's difficult about film that is a talent. Like, that's a hurdle you have to get over, is the unnaturalness of it. Yeah. Because if you're raised in theater, then just like he said, you're living that life for 3 hours. Yeah. So to me, it's not as hard to, let's say, have a crying scene in theater because you've gone up to that point. I feel like you're there emotionally. Whereas when you're doing it with film, even if it's, an intimate scene, there's so many people around you holding things, carrying things, standing there, watching the monitors. And you're also starting from a bit of a random place because you're just jumping into that scene. So you have to do the hard work to get yourself there, to cry or, I don't know, belly laugh, whatever it is. It's not coming as naturally. So I feel like that's why I love theater more. However, that's something that I found really humbling when I got into the film industry. I was like, oh, this is a whole other hurdle that I never even knew. And another thing I found really humbling is auditioning. Auditioning, I think, for film is so much harder than auditioning for theater. I haven't auditioned for theater in so long, but I know in New York, we would just have our monologues. We would have a comedic monologue, a dramatic monologue, and maybe like a Shakespeare monologue. And that's what you would use for your auditions unless they gave you a monologue. And you can take your time and prep with that. You can have the ins and outs of that character and the monologue, and you can go show them your stuff. And then for LA, you get something the day before and it's 2, 3, 4 pages, sometimes 8, but it's a little snippet. And I found it so hard, especially at first, to try to show them what I have and create this full character with just a few lines. But then on top of that, to try to connect with the casting director. Because most of the time they're just looking down and they don't even look up or care. And so that's why when I started having auditioned like chemistry reads where you're actually up with another actor, it's like, oh, this is it. So, like, this is acting. Now it's real. But auditioning, I think, is a whole separate skill. And I think that's a hard skill to learn, and that's something that I wish they taught in my college, because my college was very about the arts and the craft, which I loved and I respect. But I did not learn how to audition. And so coming to LA, it was kind of retraining, or maybe just adding on to that training of a whole other thing that you think you're prepared for because you've acted your whole life. But acting for screen and auditioning for screen really is a lot different.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, and it's crazy too, because I had a Hamilton audition, and I've worked with the director twice now. And I've worked with the musical director twice now. And bombing a musical theater audition, for me, is much worse than messing up a line for a film audition. Because, you know, it's like, that is your skill. It's not your acting truth or anything. It is a sort of skill. And if you don't achieve that sort of skill of singing, or you don't remember the lyrics as opposed to lines, it hurts a lot more. It hurts a lot.
Especially when you know them, too.
Oh, yeah. And that's the other thing, too, where it's like, I wasn't nervous about that until I got into the room. And then you kind of, and this is a very dangerous thing for an actor to get in his or her head about, that you feel like you have some responsibility to the casting director or to the director or to the music director. I only felt a responsibility because I wanted to honor our relationship by doing my best work. I didn't want to honor I didn't want to honor myself or honor anything. I just wanted to honor the relationship. But I think that beyond that, actors already feel like they and the casting directors have a special relationship going in, and they feel like, oh my God, I disrespect. No, I mean, you messed up, that's life. Are you going to take control of the room and saying, I'm going to do it again? Or are you going to get in the car and slam the wheel and say, I should have asked to do it again? But either way, you got to forgive yourself for doing that, or else you'll never survive. That's for sure.
No pressure.
I know, right? Or if you do it, like, we have a friend who auditioned for Grease Live, didn't get it, was turned down, and then was like, David, I know you know the director. Can you send this tape to them?
That was ballsy.
I really, and
wow,
that was ballsy.
And so
was
David
this before you booked it?
And so David didn't know he was even going to be on it. He did it. He sent the tape to the director and was like, hey, this is a friend of mine. He said he bombed his audition.
And I said, disclaimer, I don't know what this letter says. And I really did not read the letter. Like, it was a letter to send to the director.
And an email? and a video?
No, just just a letter.
Oh, okay.
And he's just a letter, could you send this to me? I was like, man, that's a big ask.
That was really nice of you to do that, though.
Well, guess what? The guy booked it.
He did?
Yeah.
He booked it. And then 2 weeks later I booked it. And I was just like, that's great, you know?
Wow.
But I also heard around the grapevine that on top of that, I kind of did book it because the director saw that I did that as well. Not that was the reason, but I remember him coming up to me.
See, though, when you give, you get.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, too. Like, in our industry, it's so flip-floppy. I'm just gonna make up a word. It is just so soft. Yeah. It's not hard. It's difficult, but it's not
solid.
It's not solid. It's just a very flimsy industry, and if you take yourself way too seriously in this flimsy world, you're going to crash. You're definitely going to crash. So sometimes you just got to think to yourself, what's the worst that can happen? They email you back and say, all right, well, you shouldn't have done that. All right, that probably would have hurt for like 48 hours, but it's not like they're saying you shouldn't have done that. Don't ever audition for me again. And sometimes you do get that, but like you gotta sometimes wonder about what's the worst that can happen, and are you going to be a real person or a fake person in this flimsy?
You also have to weigh like whether or not you believe in that person. Yeah, so
absolutely.
You believed in that person,
absolutely.
Because there's been a lot of people. It's funny because with David, I've seen him get a lot of emails from people out of the woodwork asking for favors, and a lot of them just come off with eye roll. Usually eye roll. One of our
PAs asked for an internship, and I was like, "Oh, okay, great." I mean, with me, and he said, no, I'm really interested in James Gunn's company. And he's the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, who also produced and wrote a film that I was in. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Not going to.
Not even like you could do that if you wanted.
I know. And I'm not even,
crazy.
But yeah.
Well, so doing Grease Live, what was the process of that like? How often did you rehearse, and then when you guys actually did it, how long did
that was a
take?
2.5 month rehearsal?
Maybe less. It was
maybe less. Yeah,
it was short, but every day, not weekends.
And every day, and our purpose for the rehearsals was trying to get to run-throughs as fast as we can, so then we can mess up on the run-throughs. I mean, by the first week, we were running through the first act. But they would split it up. So, like, let's say we had a 9-hour day, 3 for singing, 3 for dancing, 3 for acting. And then if you weren't doing any of it, figure out something to do at that point. And this was every day. This was absolutely every day. And then we even had a Christmas break in between the rehearsals.
Oh, yeah. It was very short.
Very, very short. And I remember I missed my plane going back, or I didn't even miss my, like, it was canceled or something like that, so I missed like a whole day of rehearsal, and that was like, and that's the other thing too, like when you're in the machine like that, you have to understand that you're just part of the machine. The machine's not for you, and you're not, people are not there because of you. You are just part of it. So the time that I took when I got back a day late, I just say, tell me where to go, tell me what I need to catch up on, and let's just jump in and let me, catch up. But the process was, let's all sing, memorize it at home. Let's all learn the dance, memorize it at home. Let's all learn the blocking, memorize it at home. Let's run through it the next morning, and then move on to the next thing. Whether you messed up or whether you went through, whatever, because we are having a run through on Friday. For Fox, for Mark Platt Productions, for everybody every week.
Because they had a lot of sets for that. I remember watching. It was amazing, and you guys were just everywhere. And I'm like, man.
Yeah. And again,
it was cool because it was the first time one of the live shows did that. Yeah. Because I was expecting just a bunch of cameras around a stage like they had done for Sound of Music and Wiz and all the.
Yeah, they had like 5 cameras on one side of the stage, and then you had just the stage. This one was on a Steadicam going in and out because we had a 360 set. We shot at Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. We shot at Warner Brothers in the stages. So, like, the school auditorium was 360. So you can just go around and, and just be immersed into the action. And then it was also the first time that we actually had a live audience for that type of format, which was really amazing for us because... it still made us feel like we had to perform, but it still made us feel like we were at school. So they really, really kind of put all that stuff together really, really well. And like I said, preparation.
And the cast, like all the leads got really close. So it was cool because I
even
even felt
cast,
and I even felt kind of included. Yeah. Like I remember I was in there like helping Jan pull up her pantyhose halfway through the thing. I loved his cast, and they would have like movie nights weekly, I remember.
Yeah.
And man, these people had beautiful houses.
Yeah.
I just remember 2 of the movie nights. I was like, is this a real movie theater?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember texting all of the Grease people the day before proposing to Katie. And I was just like, guys, I just want to let you know, this is going to happen. And just the support that we all still have for each other is still there. It's really, really still there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to circle back, I want you guys to explain.
Perfect segue.
Yeah.
How the
Jordan
proposal
Fisher.
went down.
What about?
Because he was in Hamilton, so he was there at the proposal.
Oh, yeah, he was there.
Who was?
Yeah.
So, Jordan Fisher, who was in Hamilton, he was also in Grease Live.
Yeah, he played Duty. He was the one with the acoustic guitar.
Okay.
He's an amazing singer.
amazing
He's actually
singer.
killing it.
Amazing
right now.
entertainer
Yeah.
and a beautiful, beautiful soul.
Amazing voice.
But yeah, so I remember, like, back to the engagement, I remember there was like a 2-week, time in my life where I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I don't know if proposing to you. It was just like for logistics or for emotion. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I said, okay, this must be it. I was just like, really, this must be, because I couldn't just stop thinking about proposing to her. And then, Savannah helped me with finding the ring.
Oh,
she did a little sneaky, here I screenshotted our conversation and all that stuff.
Well, so Savannah,
here's the ring she wanted, and I got her like exactly the ring she wanted.
Savannah used to always text me pictures of engagement rings and be like, "Oh, so cute," and I just thought it was like a girl thing, And
But she was seeing what you like.
yes, she was doing it on purpose, and so
Sneaky
Sneaky
so
Savannah.
smart too, because I didn't catch on to anything. It all seemed so normal, And then I remember it was on Black Friday. I followed this jeweler and they had the ring I wanted that was 25% off on Black Friday. And I screenshotted it and I was like, oh, it's 25% off, but I could never tell David that he has to get it,
Stop.
And I don't think you didn't get it on Black Friday, but she did screenshot it and was like, David, this is the one she wants. And you got that exact one.
I went hunting. And there's just leading up to the proposal, there's just the ring wasn't going to make it to LA anytime soon.
Oh, God.
And so I was getting nervous, and I said, so why don't you call the people who are in the warehouse making it that you can get an ETA? And he said, well, that's the only thing about, ring development or putting the rock on the band is that you can't ask them.
Really?
And they can't tell you a good ETA because you just gotta let them do it, and we gotta give you I'm like, okay, but can we make that like sort of loose mentality, kind of make it a little bit more strict?
Is that 10 days or
that doesn't even.
Well, like
sounds
that's the other
ridiculous.
thing that they just don't get in contact with the factory. They give you an estimate of when it'll be. So then I said, okay, can we rush it? And they go, yeah, we can try. Okay, if you do rush it, don't have it come to LA. Go to New York because I'm leaving to New York in 2 days. And if it's not gonna get ready, and then the operator said, so we can't make this. Once you make this change to New York, that's it. Like you gotta, it could make it to LA before you leave. So you either make a decision, and if you're in New York and it's not ready there, then you can't go back to LA. It was so stressful. So I had to make a decision. I was like, all right, make it in New York. I'm gonna trust that it's there. Or that it'll make it. And maybe she had a good heart that day, or maybe she was like, I'm going to help this guy and all this stuff. But like less than 24 hours later, she said, okay, I figured out where your ring is. I'm shipping it to New York. It's going to be ready in New York. Wow. And then I called my mom and I said, could you pick it up in New York? And here I am in the plane traveling to New York, sleeping soundly because I don't have an engagement ring in my bag or anything. It is waiting in New York. Just right. And it was just wonderful. It was just wonderful.
And, well, it's crazy, too, because I did not think it was going to happen because he just didn't seem to really care about this New York trip, He was just very cool, calm about it. And typically when we go to New York, we have a lot of people to see there because we have all of our old friends from when we both lived there. And then his mom lives there now. His cousins used to live there. So we end up getting kind of in a bind of not seeing enough people or not having enough stuff planned out. Like, I wanted to plan this trip so we didn't have any of the stress of seeing everyone. Yeah. And so I kind of planned the trip to a T. And he didn't seem to have trouble with any of the plans. And I was like, he's not planning anything. He doesn't want... Because when you want to get engaged, every trip you go on, I'm like, oh, could this be it? We went to Miami and he's like, oh, let's go on a boat ride. I'm like, could this be it? Yeah, I know.
Next up.
Yeah, exactly. And then New York, I was, I feel like I was always kind of hoping, but I didn't think it would be just by his actions. And
well, so then the actual proposal, it was in front of
the same stage door we took the picture.
Yes, where we originally met.
Circle.
Yeah,
Which I did not
circle.
expect either. Let me tell you guys. I did not even look cute. I brought all these pretty dresses, and I woke up and he's like, hey, we're gonna go meet my mom. She's having a meeting at the Marriott, and we're just gonna meet her after for a drink and then go see your friend from NYU. And I'm like, okay, like half asleep. Yeah.
As almost everyone that we know in New York is waiting at the restaurant across the stage door.
I like, a lot of your friends flew out.
Yes, Savannah flew out. Yeah, Dio was there.
So they were all at the restaurant across the street, watching from afar?
Yeah.
As we were walking towards the stage door.
So did they all come rushing out once?
Yeah, my mom almost got run over by a taxi because she was crossing the street, just booking it.
Because on our way there, because I love the Marriott Marquis, and so it was, completely plausible that we were going to go there because it has a beautiful view, and it's right by the theater we met at. And so we're walking there, and I was literally doing my makeup in the car, and then I was still putting on lipstick while we were walking, just because I did not think I was going to get proposed to. Yeah. I was not ready, and so I'm like walking, and I see we pass Marriott, and I'm like, there must be another entrance, I'll trust him. This is his old stomping ground. And we keep walking, and then I'm just getting confused. And I realized he wasn't answering any of my questions. And he was on his phone a lot. Yeah.
I mean, the next word that was going to come out, I would have thrown up a little. I was so nervous by that time when we were just booking it through the stage.
That's what I keep imagining, too. Is even though we're so close, why would we be nervous when it's our best friend?
Oh, it's crazy.
Even for us, we're moving in that direction. There's gonna be we have it all. We're keeping a little secret right now, but it's all gonna, we're all moving in that direction very, very quickly. So you might have
podcast exclusive. We have an exclusive.
We might have an exclusive.
Yes.
But it's so funny, even picking out the ring and thinking of the place. And right now, I'm just I'll be good, but I just know. The day of your heart. What is that?
Why?
Definitely. It's your best friend.
Why?
She's the last person I would ever be nervous in front of for anything because she sees me as me.
Yeah.
Exactly. The best and the worst.
Yeah.
It's. Did it all go away once it came out? When you're will you marry me? Did you then just feel great? And it was
absolutely.
It was just the leading up to.
Yeah, it's funny. So leading up to it, I knew what I was going to say. I actually knew what I was going to say for 2 weeks before then. And while I was walking, I completely forgot everything. And first I was thinking, okay, where are my parents? They should be here. They should be here by now. I kind of wanted it to be perfect because I wasn't gonna, I needed someone to videotape it, I still wanted to remember stuff, And as I was walking, I was just thinking I was nervous, but I was certain. And that type of certainty sometimes gets a little scary because you're just I've never made a more right decision in my life. This is the right decision, better than anything, better than Boo Radley, better than my French bulldog.
Yeah.
It was just it was that kind of certainty is this huge overwhelming feeling. So I turned her around and in Katie fashion, the entrance is over there, and I was like, yep, this is the right woman for me. And I basically said, so listen, you're perfect. And I started that way, and I go, why are you starting with perfect? Where do you go from perfection? Why did you start there? And the minute I said you're perfect, she knew what was going on. Face dropped, and my hand was shaking. My voice was telling me. I started crying and all that stuff. And the only thing I did remember was the question. And the question I've always had in my mind ever since I knew when I was going to propose to her. I said, "Will you make me the happiest man by spending the rest of your life with me as my wife?" Or that. Yeah. And I always knew I had that question in my mind, and that delivery was trembling, but that was exactly the words that I wanted to use.
Yeah, because I think you didn't want to say, "Will you marry me?"
I didn't.
Why not?
poetry, I guess, like romanticism. I don't know. But everyone who's like, who sees the video don't really see Katie answer. According to everybody else, like they're just like they didn't know whether she answered.
They kept going, "What do you say?
Like, what do you say?" To me and to her, it was literally the biggest head nod I've ever seen in my life. But in the video, you just go, she's just like a little thing. But for me, it was like choo-choo. It was like the biggest nod.
So you did more of a nod than a verbal yes.
Yes, I did.
Correct.
So you need to be very loud.
Yeah, you have to. Or make it known to the world.
It's just such a weird feeling though, because you don't know it's coming, and so you can't be prepared at all. And so I just remember shaking. I was just shaking so much, and then you tried to put the ring on me. And I was shaking.
Did you see people around at this point?
Yes, so they
everyone made it. Yeah.
It was actually fascinating the way it worked. I'm sure it wasn't like this in real life, but to Katie, it was like he got down on one knee, he said the question, and like I looked up from him, and then in a circle all around. There was like our friends from Hamilton, my friends from LA, his parents, family, friends from college, just around. It was amazing. And then right after that, what's funny is actually that day, so I had planned on going to the Boom Boom Room, which is this beautiful, beautiful restaurant at the top of the Standard with incredible views of New York City. And I wanted to go there with my friend Madeline. And he kept being a brat about it and was trying to change it. And I was like, Madeline was one of my best friends from college. I really want to see. And that was the one thing I was getting kind of bratty about. And we were kind of not arguing over, but that was the one schedule change. And now,
but we were going to see her anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Madeline knew.
But that
I know. And it's weird too. Like, I remember that weekend, I felt, wow, this is the best weekend ever. How can anything top this? It was amazing. And I didn't even think my wedding could top it.
Comes.
Yeah. And it's crazy too because I've never been that girl who just dreams about her wedding. And to me, because weddings are an astronomical expense. And to me, I kept thinking, how can this be worth it for one day? And I planned my own wedding and I'm like, man, all this work for one day. And let me tell you, it lives up to all the hype. Like, weddings live up to the hype. When brides are like, that's the best day of my life. It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy.
It is.
And it was fascinating to me because I actually didn't even think it would be the best day of my life. Because...
What do you think all of it, like, what makes it the best? Like, what was something you didn't expect and you're like, oh, wow, like...
Good question. Something I didn't expect from me is how nervous I was. So... Okay, and I wasn't nervous to marry him at all. I was nervous to walk down the aisle in front of everyone I love. I was nervous. I was so nervous to read my vows. I was like shaking reading because it's so personal. And I'm an actress, I performed in front of people. I was terrified to go up there and like literally give my heart to my vows. And then also something I was really nervous about. A lot of stuff went wrong for our wedding. And I thought it was just because we had a destination wedding and there's a lot of miscommunications and I planned it myself, so it's not like the things that go wrong were going through a wedding planner and she was fighting the fires. It went through me and I had to fight the fires. And so I was stressed even the morning of the wedding because they're like, there's another wedding across the street, so we have to completely move that.
We actually, we're just like, no. Is this the day? They're like, no, it's definitely. And then we asked somebody who was at that wedding.
When we saw that, we were like, are you kidding me? Because there were already problems where like they didn't have any of the alcohol, they didn't have any bars that we had already purchased. There just so much stuff. We later learned that's kind of par for the course with weddings. Like, we've met a lot of close friends who have worse stories than us.
I thought it was a Mexico thing, to be honest. Like, I thought it was just like, dealing with another country.
Sure. And somewhat it was.
And somewhat it was, but then a lot of my cousins, the cousins who are married, came up to me and they go, no, dude, it's a wedding thing.
Yeah, they were like
they know you're going to be in a bind in the last minute. And, like, what are you going to do? Change your change your bartender, you know,
Right.
for 2 days away, you know, that kind of thing.
I would-
Like they
Yeah.
take, there's a little bit of taking advantage of that fact.
But I would also compare planning a wedding to producing a film.
Yeah.
There's so many moving parts that you're in charge of, and so much going on, and so many things that have to happen, and so many people that you've hired. And so stuff is going to go wrong when there's that many moving parts.
Yeah.
And so I was stressed out the morning of my wedding day. And I did not want to be stressed for my wedding. And that was something I was so nervous about. I was like, man, I've been planning this for so long. Everyone I love is here. I do not want to be stressed out on this day. And you guys should have, right when I walked down the aisle, it was like my body just had a Xanax completely take over me. All of a sudden, I could like feel that stress go away. It was crazy. And I couldn't stop smiling. And I remember like my dress didn't fit and I was gonna trip over it and my bouquet was huge and I was just holding on to my dad for dear life, but I'm smiling like as big as I could possibly smile, and then I couldn't stop the whole time up there. I couldn't stop after it. Right when I got to the venue and walked down the aisle, it's like everything just dissipated.
Doesn't that happen a lot though when you do things you're nervous about? The moment it actually becomes
That's
real,
true.
the moment you go out on stage or you
Very true.
anything, you're just like, oh, ooh, actually this feels great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but during your actual ceremony, I'm not kidding, the clouds
sun came out when you walked down
and
the aisle.
Yeah, it was.
Stop.
I promise you, the
Wow.
most incredible moment. We were looking
Because I
at
think
each
it was
other
like a sunny day, but like
Yeah.
I'm talking like the actual sun came out.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
It was
And-
77% chance of rain that day.
That day.
And it was a fully outdoor
And that
wedding.
whole week was 20% on Monday, but wait a minute, on Tuesday 40, and then Wednesday, nope, 10. And I'm like, okay, we're good.
Wow.
Thursday, and then it goes all the way up to 77%, and it was just
For
like
Saturday,
it was like
yeah.
great, that's just great. And then during the ceremony, we were just like, okay, now it's too hot, you know, like
Yeah. Did
now
you-
I wish it was
It was
raining.
pretty hot. We had
In the front
yeah.
of the ceremony, thank goodness for the fans. The
Yeah.
front of the ceremony, actually, while I was standing up there, I was like, is this how it's gonna be the rest of the wedding? And then right when you got,
When
to,
we got to the
the
back.
backyard, it was so cool and great. I was like,
It was
okay.
great.
this
Hey,
is
you couldn't
great.
ask for better weather when we got to the back. It was really just ocean winds coming in. It was just, and the thing for me is that when I was getting ready with the groomsmen was about 5-6 houses down, and where we entered was through the beach. So we were already on that side. So we had to track on that hot day through the beach to go to the back of the venue. I wasn't breaking a sweat. I had the opposite nervous reaction. I was so nervous that I had a 3-piece suit on in 81-degree weather, and I just was not sweating. I don't think my mind and my body were connecting. I was just focused. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this. And I had no other time to sweat. You know what I mean? It was just like I didn't break a sweat. It was so weird.
I think the reason it's like the best day of the bride and groom's life too is not only becoming one and becoming like that is a very real feeling, but also to have everyone you love in one place is a crazy feeling.
Yeah, it is.
And we got to feel something. I'm so
there
happy
for you, supporting you.
And
Exactly.
it felt like a love festival.
Yes.
Like it felt like a week-long love festival with
Yeah.
all the families meeting together, our friends coming together and all this stuff. And even then, like when we're saying hi to people after that, seeing you guys got me so emotional, and then I would see another people and get me so emotional. It's a very overwhelming experience. You know?
Also, too, when you have a destination wedding and people have flown
Yes.
out there, that is
yeah.
like, you know, it just
Just
hits
shows
you
how
in
much
another.
they love you, and
yeah.
I just wish that, and that's what I'm really excited about, because for some reason, like our friend groups, like we have everyone's scattered. So the action, this is like our wedding will be probably the only time that everyone we love will have to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you can try to plan
Yeah.
a vacation, but people are like, oh, like blah, 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 blah. But it's like we literally so many different states, so many different areas, and maybe not everyone will make it, but I'm just saying in general, like it's gonna be the most people that you love in one place, and that's what I'm looking forward to as well. It's just like seeing these people that are like your family, even some friends that you've grown up with your whole life, that they don't like. They never even met, you know, like there's some of our friends that haven't met, and it's like weird to me. I'm like, if we all lived in the same area, we would be like kicking it all the time.
Have you guys ever thought about where or anything, or is that like too premature?
Exclusive.
At all.
No, we've got it all. Like,
What?
here, we'll give an exclusive. So we're gonna leave the. It's funny because like you're seeing like, did you know you were about to get engaged? Like, did you have a window or anything, or was it a complete surprise?
It wasn't a complete surprise in the sense that we had talked about it, and so David's been throwing around the word marriage early on in our relationship, and I never felt ready, and I don't think you were ready either, but he did like to talk about marriage, and he would always be like, by the time I'm 30, he always talks about it. And then after we moved in together, all of a sudden for me it really clicked, and I would say to him like, I'm for sure now. Like, it's, like we would talk about it, and I was hoping it would happen within I guess a year or something. I don't know. I knew it was going to happen around that time, but I was surprised by the situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's how.
Let's just say the fact that she did not know she was going to get engaged in New York or proposed to in New York. That's the ultimate.
That's how you want to win. Like, even for me, and the thing that for us, it's like I need that window of a certain amount of time so she doesn't know. Because like you said, anytime we try, this is it. Like, I need to have it be a surprise romantic. And the fact that we are vlogging a lot and doing all this, of course, what a badass episode that will be. So I have to try to figure out surprise, romance, and have a camera man or gal with us and her not suspect it. So I have all these different things that we're doing. But we have a window, so we're gonna go pick out a ring, and like we're gonna kind of do it all together. But my job is gonna be to surprise her and have it romantic, like
amazing.
How you did that, and then we are looking at different venues and everything. But we think we're gonna aim for like fall of 19 for the wedding, and we think we're gonna do Florida because there's a few people in my family that don't maybe more northern. Okay. Like, we're kind of like looking in Florida in general, but the weather, we love Florida. She has a lot of friends and family in Florida, and there's a couple people in my family that won't fly. So if we did California, they couldn't, but a 13-14 hour drive they could manage. So we both love Florida, so we think that would be fair for everyone, because everyone we love is on the East Coast. A few California friends will have to make the flight, but for the most part,
I'm from Florida.
Yeah,
so you're like, great, let's do that.
I think that's amazing, because Florida's still a destination too, without having to be such a tough destination like out of the country. And that's what I loved about a destination too, is you're getting other people out of their environments. So it felt like a vacation for everyone, rather than just kind of driving down to a cute spot in the valley. And which no hate on anyone that does that, of course. There are beautiful weddings in California, but I just love the idea of everyone vacationing together to celebrate.
Because I think because most of my family, like, I have a really, really big family. I'm the only child, but my parents are. My mom is one of 4. My dad's one of 5, and so I have an insane amount of cousins and family and friends on the East Coast.
That's fun.
And it's gonna be and like I said, like maybe a couple dozen. I don't know how big we're gonna do the wedding. It may be a smaller thing, but it's gonna be better for everybody on the East Coast, and so we're planning it together. And my one thing is to surprise, keep it romantic. But I'm learning a lot about like rings and cuts, and I just thought it was like, you get a ring. Yeah, no.
Right?
Oh
no.
I mean,
there's so much that goes into it. Huh?
Oh, so much. And then the other thing is, like, when you're seeing the diamond or the rock or whatever, the one that they show on the websites, or at least in my experience, they're the one. That's the one. Like, they're not showing you what they're not showing you a sample picture. The diamond you get, I bought that diamond, and I saw a picture of that exact diamond.
Right. And then were you on the phone with like a specialist?
Oh, and that's the best thing. Like, did I want to learn to remember? No, not really. I wanted to have an instant, person on the phone from customer service, and I go, and then what about this? And we would look at it together. And she would educate me on the particular diamond. Yeah. So this is the cut, whatever. Okay, so what do you mean by cut? And what do you mean by depth? You know what I mean? Like, so this is gonna glow.
Even the SL. What's is it SI? Yeah, SI1 or VSI.
Yeah. Yes, the different levels, the colors. It's a color grade, isn't it?
I think it's 2. I think the SI1 and SI2 and VS1 and like it goes all the way up. I think is more. I don't even
shine.
know. I think that's purity or clarity, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And then the color is like HG. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Color, cut, clarity.
And
Color,
there's one more, the
cut,
4
clarity.
C's.
Wait, color, cut, clarity, and
Better learn,
not
baby.
carrot. Is it carrot?
Carrot, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And that's the other thing.
Most obvious.
And that's
Is it?
and that's the other thing too. Her ring is 1 carat. But it's only because the band had the diamonds as well. So I always like to just tell people, like I was like, oh yeah, I got our carat. You know what I mean? But I got like the whole. That was like the whole ring, you know. But I had the customer service person, and I was just like, so that scratch that I see on that diamond, like that's it, like that's the one you're showing me. And she goes, yeah, but you know, you're not gonna see it. I was like, yeah, but I see it really clear on this picture. Like, is it gonna be that big? And she goes, I promise you, you will be shocked by how small this diamond is. I was like, okay, cool. And then I opened it, and still, I was very critical of it. You know, I was just like, and I'm putting it against the light and see if it shines, and see if it's and see when the yellow comes in and the glow and all that stuff. But I was just like, yeah, she's gonna love it. She's gonna love it anyway. So
That's awesome.
Did you see the ring first in New York, or did?
Yeah.
When I landed, and in front of her, but she was napping.
Oh,
So I was just like, I was like, yeah, she'll like it. She'll like it. Put it away, you know.
Oh my
gosh. She was napping. My mom was just like, come here, let's go. You know, let's go look at it. You know.
Oh my gosh.
And then of course, you know, I mean, my poor mom. All the whole trip, I was like, but you like it, right? It's really good. You like it, right? She's like, David, it's the most beautiful ring ever. And I was like, is it the most beautiful ring ever? She was like, yeah. I was like, all right, go. You know.
We're gonna go up. We have someone that we're working with in Orange County. So I'm actually excited to just see it in person.
Yeah.
You know, because I know that you can do it online and all of that. And we actually are in talks with someone from New York as well. So we're kind of gonna just see which person to go with.
Wow,
that's
are these
great.
just jewelers?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, how do you? Is it like family jewelers?
No, we just went to the
lots of
gram
research.
and we're doing some hashtags
Nice,
and like.
nice.
So we're also gonna, I won't get into all the details and bore everyone, but we're looking to collaborate with a jeweler and see what we can do with
That's the way to do it.
everything that we're gonna, but we're new to it, the whole thing, and we just want to make it super special.
Right.
And this is gonna be the first time people actually hear that we're actually moving forward, because people have asked us, they're like, you're approaching 7 years, like what's going on? And we just
7
really,
years, wow.
Crazy.
yeah.
We're
This
so
summer, or,
non-traditional,
like,
though. Of
next
course,
month.
we would plan our whole wedding before it even happens. Like
That's
so
amazing.
But yeah,
It's just the right time. Like, it was just, because I wanted, and that's what we talked about as well, is like I really wanted it to be the time that, like I just feel like 2 years ago I still felt the same and wanted to do it, but there was just so many things going on in life that right now I feel like it's like now's the time.
Right.
Like I can't describe it. It's
Right.
just now's the time.
Right? You just
And-
can't describe it. It just it makes sense, and it doesn't matter where you are in life. There's this euphoric feeling
Yeah,
of
it just clicked,
making
man.
it just
Like,
clicked. Yeah,
and we like
I get
instantly
it.
all got to. I was like we're gonna do it, and we're gonna have a quick engagement because we've been together for so long.
Oh, yes.
It's not gonna be like a long thing, and
Oh.
And he asked my dad for my hand when we were in Jersey.
Wait, what?
How was that? Were you nervous? Like
Yes, that's how
even after dating for this long, like you know her dad very well, right? And so like was that still nerve wracking?
I know them I know Val and Rick very well, but we've also lived across the country for all these years. So realistically, we've spent quality time, but I've probably spent in the 7 years we've been together maybe a total of 25 days with them. So yes, we hear about each other, and that's and then I wasn't upset, but like I was so pumped to tell her sister and her mom, but she already like kind of told them.
Oh no!
And so I was just like, oh, come on. Like I wanted to have that moment.
So
But but I didn't tell her that I really wanted those moments, and so but she didn't give them all the details of what we were doing.
No.
But with her dad, like he wasn't like in town the first day, and then we could and then it was her sister got married.
Right, I saw.
On a
Right.
Saturday. So like I didn't want to they did a gender reveal of their baby and got married on Saturday. So I was like, I can't do that to Rick. Like, hey, like he has all this like excitement and then and I didn't want to take that moment away from Bree's in Jim's wedding. So I did it on Sunday, I think,
night.
and he was walking the dog, and we actually walked down the boardwalk together on the Jersey, like not the Jersey Shore, but like the Jersey Shore, yeah. So we were walking down the boardwalk and like walking the dog, and we were just like chit chatting. I asked him, and he gave me a big hug, and then we all came back, and everyone knew because Rick was the last one to like know about it.
Oh, really?
And then so we all had a little toast of wine, and then it was super sweet because the next day he came home and he like bragged at his office that his daughter is about to get married soon, and like told everyone at his office, and so I felt really good. It was a wonderful trip. It's great. And so now we're just going to plan the whole thing.
Oh, that's so exciting!
I love that.
That is so exciting.
I love that you guys toasted to that because something with weddings is I feel like you need to celebrate every single little milestone, even up to the wedding. The asking for the hand and doing a toast, that's amazing. Obviously the proposal, but bachelorette, I mean, everything. I feel like all the celebrations are in order, no matter how big or how small, because that's a big thing that you did. Like,
it's huge.
Every
and
marker
you do get
is
nervous.
big.
I don't know why. Did I put my hand on my heart?
Feel my heart. Right before you
like,
went out.
Why do we feel that way?
Huge steps, man.
That's
It's
so
huge
cute.
steps. I asked her parents on the phone, which I was like, I wish I was, I wish I could, ask them in person. But again, I picked the perfect time to ask them because she was on the plane. So there was like no way she was gonna find out.
Sneaky.
And so, but I think I had a little inkling that your family knew why I was, calling them. Yeah,
really?
because there was like 2 texts going, okay, but make sure you're both on. Obviously you're gonna, ask for your daughter's hand. And
But it's
stuff
still
like
special.
that,
You get super vulnerable, and you kind of take for granted the comfortability of all the relationships. But when you get that vulnerable and ask that kind of question, I think it's just like both walls are down. Like these are, like it was just a very vulnerable moment, and then like we just like hugged, and I'll always remember it. Like it was very well, and the timing just worked. Like we went to like everything just kind of just worked
totally.
And I was even happy that we did it then because we had a trip to Jersey planned in February that we ended up canceling, and I was going to ask him then, but it wasn't as like this was it. This was it. This was the time. It was like we had everything planned. We have a venue in mind. Like we were able to share all the details with like with her mom and dad and sister, and so it was really cool.
Wow, guys.
But I don't want to wrap this up because we're having so much fun, but we're actually approaching an hour and a half.
Can I
so
just
ask
one question?
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Ask one more, and then we'll
wrap up.
And then, sorry, everyone, we're probably going to end up continuing this off air.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay, so you guys were going to come here a couple weeks ago, but you got a call because you got booked as a celebrity chef.
I cannot even handle that. Yes.
Can you tell me what happened?
It all just happened very fast. So I've been working as a personal chef for a few years for an actor in Burbank, and then slowly but surely I've had other people ask me to do things like dinner parties or things like that, and it's very much been a side job and side passion to acting, but it's been great just to make money off something I love versus odd jobs or kind of struggling between commercials or something like that. And then actually Savannah told me that she was going to be working an event for Sugar Bear Hair for Coachella, which is a hair gummy vitamin, very big on Instagram. And they were throwing this huge event at Coachella, and they needed a chef for the first week. And so I submitted a portfolio of things I've cooked, and I submitted a sample portfolio of Sugar Bear type, foods that kind of go with the theme of the event. And they liked it, and they hired me. And through there, because they had all these celebrities just coming in and out of that house trying my food, and my cards were there. And so they had Millie Bobby Brown, and who are those? What's
let's just say we got very educated of what celebrity was. I mean, so many influencers.
Yes.
That they were like 14-year-old kids who just bought a house.
$18 million or 18 million followers.
Yeah.
And she's 16, just bought her own house. Yeah, people like that.
Yeah.
And then
One of the girls from Fifth Harmony.
Yes.
One of those girls stopped by, yeah.
But just a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so then they kept asking me back, and then through there, the Jonas Brothers manager came and tried it, and then he contacted the woman that hired me for the Coachella event, and that was that. And I sent them a sample menu, and I sent them my stuff, and I sent them my rate, and they were like, all sounds perfect. Come be our personal chef for Stagecoach Festival. And that, I have to say, I died because I grew up in love with Nick and Joe.
So I'm going to quote Katie. She said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to Palm Springs. I'm going to spend the weekend with my husband and the love of my life. And I was like, which one's which? I don't know which one's which.
That was a great experience though, because it took me back to being nervous, which is exciting because I've been cooking for so long that I kind of lost the nervous edge. Yeah. But this, I was like, oh my gosh. I remember walking up and Nick was standing outside and he goes, you need any help? And I was like, what? And he goes, you need any help? And I was like, if he asked if I needed help, and I say no, but he didn't really ask that, I'm gonna look so stupid. Oh my God. And so I said what probably 3 more times and made him repeat himself. It was like, Katie, get your act together. But they were great. They were so sweet. No.
You're like, I'm good.
Because she had me there.
Yeah,
I was like, no, we're good.
I got my manpower.
We're fine.
But they were
Like in the
so
kitchen.
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I love.
Need help, babe?
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's funny because being their chef, I was a fan first, and so they were exactly what I would have imagined them as a young fan. You know, Joe was the funny, crazy, goofy one, always in the kitchen, like talking about the food, really nice. Nick was like the quieter, more serious, very polite, very helpful. They had, you know what they did? Here was the highlight of that weekend. They all went outside after, so like I'd make them like a huge breakfast and put it on their table, and then they would eat, and they were so sweet about like bringing up their plates and stuff. They were really, I have to say, very well mannered.
Gentlemen.
Gentlemen. And then they went outside to have their jam sessions. And that,
a free concert.
That, I said to David,
It's
I was like,
incredible, man.
I whispered to him, these are the concerts I could never afford, as I'm like cleaning up. Because seriously, they sound like they're on the radio and they're harmonizing together, and they have a violin, and 2 of them are on guitar. Yeah.
And I would imagine like we would look at it sort of differently. I mean, because I was looking at it and I was just like, man, do actors just go, hey, let's go study a monologue, or let's just go read scenes or something like that? Because I just felt like, yeah, they're jamming, but they're artists and they're musicians, so it's like they still got to keep it alive. And I feel like actors, unless you are offered or unless you're working as steadily as you are, don't have the opportunity to just call a friend up and go, let's get 4 or 5 people together, which is something I really want to do, actually. 4 or 5 people together, and let's read a David Mamet play. Wine, cheese, David Mamet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or that kind of thing, you know? But that's what I got out of it, where while she was sweating, I was just like, oh my gosh, they're so talented and just care about music and care about doing music right. You know, so I really, my respect level for them went really, really high.
It's nice when you meet people that you look up to and they're like awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like you kind of have a superpower. It's like as soon as you become a fan of someone, they come into your life, become your husband.
Oh no!
I know. Like, who else are you a fan of?
I know, right?
Maybe you should stay in the house.
I know. But that's energy. I feel like that happens in the weirdest of ways, but. Also, LA can bring that to you because they're all right there. Yeah. So.
And if you are you looking for like clients? Is it all local stuff?
Yes.
If you want to is there a place where is it on your Instagram that people can find you? If anyone's watching and wants check out her Instagram. Like I'm telling you, like the multiple colored grilled cheese. Like I'm obsessed with everything you're doing.
I'm always like, look at this one. Look at this one.
You guys are so sweet. No, I'm working freelance, and I'm still doing dinner parties and stuff like that, and soon I'm going to be doing events, but I just left my job working nightly for the actor so I could free up time to do more things like that, traveling and cooking for someone or cooking for events. And so yeah, if anyone out there needs a chef.
I love that.
Find you on
guys,
Insta.
You've had so much success, honestly, in so many different parts of life, which is so incredible. I love you guys just keep going, you keep grinding, you keep going to the next level.
Look
right?
who's talking.
I know.
You guys. But
Game
so,
respects game, am I
Yeah.
right? Seriously, and we feel the same way about you guys.
Thank
And with this
you.
whole thing, I mean, we wish all of the success and for more subscribers and for more people to follow your way of life as well, because I love watching you guys. I truly do.
Thank you.
So,
It's
yeah.
very mutual. It's very mutual.
do you guys have a life tip for listeners just on
Could be
anything?
anything. Love,
We like to
life,
wrap it.
work. Just
Yeah.
something that someone could hear right now and could just apply to make their life a little better. Like how do you stay
Great question.
motivated, or like what makes you so ambitious, or like love, or just any kind of life tip that someone could take away with them after listening.
That is a great question. This is a current motto I'm trying to work on, and I think it's don't sweat the small stuff. Which sounds so easy, but even we've had a lot going on right now. We've been busy traveling and trying to kind of get our new life going as newlyweds and starting my new career, and then he has so much going on with the acting and producing that I find I can easily get stressed about things.
Sure.
And don't sweat the small stuff, because that stuff doesn't matter. It's the big picture of things.
Love that.
Love it.
I would say first and foremost, get your home in order. In terms of emotionally, financially, intellectually, spiritually, get your home in order before you feel like you have the right to say anything about anybody else, or to even care what people might be thinking of you. Because if you get your house in order and take care of the people who are in your home and take care of yourself in your home, you're not going to be a prisoner to anybody outside your home. And I think that's something that I'm still continuing to work on, because again, I'm an aspiring producer who is meeting with other really intense big producers, and if I don't feel like I'm that I got my shit together, I don't know if I can curse, but like my stuff together, but I don't know if I don't have my home in order, I am going to go out of my way to prove that I have my home in order. And LA and being in this industry can really blur the lines. So I would just say get your home in order before anything else.
Love it.
Amazing.
You two are so awesome.
Just
Thank
the
you
best.
for
Thank you
coming
so
on and
much.
chatting. You can come back anytime if you
we
want
would love to.
promote
Thank you.
and promote other things that you're doing.
This was
'cause
so
this
much fun.
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous
Yeah.
before coming here.
No, you
I was
guys-
like,
No,
what am I
we
gonna
just
say?
like to kick it. It's just like have fun and dig deep. And
I feel like the four of us
Great.
could just talk.
yeah.
I literally have so much more to talk
I know.
about right
Seriously,
now. I know we
I have more
to-
questions for you guys. To be honest, but yeah, we'll continue.
We can
so.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but thank you everyone for tuning in. David and Katie, thank you so much, and
Thank you, guys.
we'll be talking to you soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.